So as I said, I've connected with this in 3 different layers. One is a consultant for the second stage. I did the strategic plan for MUD, Missoula Urban Demonstration Project, when they were in the project. But I won't talk very much about them. I'm going to focus on, I was on staff with Empower Montana when they went through the process, and on the board with Home Resource when they went through the process. And so with Empower Montana, what was going on for us is we had this weird tax ID status as a local chapter of a national organization called the National Coalition Building Institute. Our name was NCBI Missoula, and nobody knew what that meant. And this weird tax status we had was causing us troubles with grants, and we felt that it was time to become our own completely independent nonprofit and have a new name that actually made sense. And so that's, we were in that process thinking about it when this application came up, when this process came up for us. And I don't know if we thought that was the thing that we were gonna end up focusing on as part of this, but you know, we knew that like getting some capacity building for the organization was important. So we applied and you know, went through the assessment process and did that work. And what I find is that assessment piece, that first step, is such an amazing piece of data that you get, that you just really can't get anywhere else in the nonprofits. Nobody's giving grants like this. And that assessment, you would never be able to afford to go hire Rachel to come in and do that kind of work to really look at your organization by yourself. So we would never devote resources to that. But having those resources come in and that like helped us identify, oh yeah, wait a second, like this thing that we need to do, we can do it, right? And it laid out some recommendations related to that. It also laid out a whole bunch of other capacity issues that we had as an organization that we thought about, like, well, okay, we need to do something about that too. And I'll talk about more about what we did with that later on. But the project that we did, the second phase, was rebranding the organization, so funding for that, and some work around the legal process of transitioning from this chapter to this of a big organization to our own independent thing. And those were really important capacity steps for the organization. As for Home Resource, again, you know, the big, I think, adaptive challenge for that organization at the time, as I was seeing it as a board member, is that, you know, we did not do fundraising. Like, in fact, there was active resistance in the board about doing any kind of fundraising at all, right? We have the store, that's generating income, that's fine, that should be it. We shouldn't be doing anything else. But of course, that just funded the store, and there's all these other programs that we wanted to do as an organization. And it was a pretty, you know, don't be scared by saying things like, is there discord in your board? You know, we were having a healthy conversation about fundraising as an organization. And so we went through the assessment process, and the two things that came out of that were work around board development, right? Particularly training and assessment for getting ready to do fundraising. And the reason we really need to get ready to do fundraising is we're getting ready for capital campaign, right? You can't go from no fundraising to capital campaign. That's just, it's impossible to do. And so they really, the project that got funded for that was a bunch of training and board development work that helped us prepare ourselves to be successful in starting to do fundraising and then start this capital campaign that we're moving into now. Questions? So, as in terms of what was most valuable, that assessment piece, getting the getting the grant to go on and do the project part, the very defined project piece you do second, was really awesome. I actually felt that the other recommendations we got were as important as even the key ones that we got there. For Empower Montana, it identified a whole bunch of staff capacity we needed to develop, and that helped us actually take that to another funder and say, hey, funder, you've been with us for a while. We've just gone through this process that's really identified for this, and we could really use your support in funding this staff capacity. And And they did that, and they gave us a grant that we're able to carry out and get that capacity built. Wasn't MPNE that funded that, it was another funder that and they were able to say, oh wow, look at this great report you got. This makes total sense to us. Yes, we're on board, right? With the project grant, I would say what was valuable about it was we were able to pick out what was scaled to the appropriate thing. So you're going to get about a $5,000, what it still is a $5,000 grant. Yeah. And this would go more to the valuable and hardest thing is when you're looking for that project that's coming out, that the projects out of it, is be very clear about realistic about what that $5,000 can do, right? You're not going to hire a new staff person for $5,000, right? If you're coming and thinking, oh yeah, we're going to get the seed money to start someone for staffing, this is not going to work for this, right? But things that I think are doable are, getting yourself a good fundraising plan together, or doing a marketing plan and getting a new website designed, or legal counsel about something, those sorts of things. Training and development for your board. Those are going to be scalable, but that doesn't mean that other parts of what you get recommended in that assessment aren't helpful, because you take that to any funder, particularly ones that are, that well, say, hey, we really need help with this. You've got the logic of why you need to do that, and it's been independently sourced, so it's got a lot of credibility. And I had one more thing about valuable, is that I found that it really helped get the board engaged. Boards are funny things, and I say this as a board member. Board members are busy, their lives are going all over the place, they're doing a million things. Sometimes they're on staff of another nonprofit, all that kind of stuff's going on. And the process is an intentional way to really engage them in an accessible way. So, they're taking the time to fill out assessments. There's a logical process. They kind of understand where they're going, and it's a good way to bring board members to the table and really do that deep think about the organization. That can be hard to do if it's just the ED or a staff person saying, hey, we need to talk about this. You've actually got a framework to walk them through, which makes it easier for the board to be engaged with that conversation. So there's that.
What do you wish you knew?
What did I wish I knew? It feels like this has been, you've done a lot better. The time frame, I was in this, both organizations I was in was like in the year 1 or 2 or 3. Yeah. And so there was a little hiccupiness in terms of like, what's the time frame of all the process and when things happen and that kind of stuff. So pay attention to the time frame. This is not your standard grant, as I said before, where you get the money and then it's just like until a year later when you write a report to them, or 6 months or whatever. Like, there's check-in points all the way through the process, and make sure you understand those and you're on top of that. And then I guess the other thing is just being really scaling your project, making sure you're real clear that your project matches the funding that's available there, or if there's you can access some other funding to help do something bigger. But that you want to make sure that those two match. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I would I found it really valuable at all 3 levels that I was involved with it. I think it's a well thought out process. No one's doing capacity building really in anywhere in a lot of ways. And so having that space to be able to actually think deeply about your organization is I think profoundly powerful for an organization, and has helped. I'm actually at Poverello was I think year 1, right?
Yeah, it was.
And so I'm seeing 5 years later or 4 years later, like where that took the organization in terms of the work it's done now, and I can see the residues of kind of the thinking and stuff in the organization even that long past. So
it's great to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, I just think it's super valuable to hear from someone that's gone through the program and as Jesse has had so much experience with it, so it's fantastic. Next, we